Hare Krishna. Please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. Never miss any updates.
नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की श्रील प्रभुपाद की। हरे कृष्णा। वेलकम टू द 18th chapter of this Bhagavad Gita course. This is the final chapter. So our course is coming to end soon. So the chapter name is Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. So up to now, all the 17 chapters, Krishna is highlighting various aspects, okay, in the each chapter. So in this chapter, the essence of all those chapters you can find. The essence of all those chapters is to develop surrenderance towards Krishna. So that Krishna is going to tell in this chapter very, very clearly. So Krishna begins this chapter with the prescription which he was given in previous chapters also. That is, one should never renounce work. One should work dutifully, detached. This kind of works never bring reactions. So one should work like that, without any attachment, dutifully one has to work. So if you want to conclude whole Bhagavad Gita into one word, if you want to understand the message of Bhagavad Gita very clearly, Bhagavad Gita means the song of the Lord. So why the Supreme Lord is singing this song, this Bhagavad Gita? So that ultimate goal you can find in this chapter. Okay. So in this Bhagavad Gita, around 700 verses are there, 18 chapters are there. If you want to conclude all this knowledge into one word, that is surrenderance. So Krishna is telling ultimately to surrender all the living entities unto him. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshishya masuchaha. So this is what is Krishna is telling. Give up all the dharmas, all kinds of religions, surrender unto me. I will purify you from all kinds of sinful reactions. Don't worry, I will take you back to Godhead. So that is the Krishna's message. To give this message, so Krishna is telling the whole Bhagavad Gita. This is the most important sloka of Bhagavad Gita. And second most is, this also you can find in the last chapter, 18.65. Sarvadharman is 18.66. So the sloka number 65 is Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru mame vaisha satyam te pratijane priyosime. So Krishna is telling here, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and then offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail, I promise you, because you are my dear friend. So Krishna sends secret to Arjuna. Why? Because Arjuna is the dear friend and a great devotee of Lord Krishna. To him he is revealing secret. Actually through him he is revealing to all of us this secret. So four things Krishna is telling. Become devotee of Krishna, think of Krishna, worship Krishna, and offer obeisance unto Krishna. If you do these things, you will go back to Godhead. You will go back to Krishna without fail. Okay. So these are two slokas, very important slokas. So one should give up all other processes of self-realization. people take up various processes to attain Lord. But Krishna is telling, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, give up all those kind of processes. Simply become devotee of Krishna and surrender unto Him. Then you will easily attain the perfection of life. There is no need to consider sinful reactions. Oh, I have done this much sinful activities in the past. I am this much sinful person. I am this, I am that. No. If you surrender, if you sincerely, if you really surrender to Krishna, Krishna is telling, He will, purify all the sinful activities. Generally, there is a notion that in Christianity, you can go to church in the Sunday and purify all the sinful activities. And again, other days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you can do whatever you want, and Sunday you go to church, pay some fine, and you will be relieved from all kinds of sinful activities what you have done in that week. So this is promoted so much, but that doesn't work, because they are not repenting sincerely. Again they are doing, they are taking this as some opportunity to come out, and again they are doing opportunity to do sinful activities again. It's encouraging to do sinful activities more and more. Any father who is responsible, he never accepts that. If a son does a mistake, he'll forgive, father will definitely forgive. But if son is doing again and again, thinking, considering that father is forgiving, he doesn't do anything, can we call that father a responsible father? He is never like that. Okay. So, but here you see that purifying of sinful activities, what the correct process Krishna is telling here. Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Okay, surrender unto me sincerely and determined that you will not do sinful activities again. Sincerely surrender unto me. Sincerely surrender means they will not be trying to do sinful activities again. Say, when you like that, when you surrender sincerely, then Krishna is telling, I will purify from all kind of sinful activities. So that is the goal of whole Bhagavad Gita, of whole Vedic literature also. So surrendering to Krishna is the ultimate goal of life. The supreme instruction of morality is surrendering to Krishna. Supreme process of religion and of morality is surrendering to Krishna. Last instruction of Bhagavad Gita is surrendering to Krishna. Highest perfection of life is surrendering to Krishna. Essence of teaching of Bhagavad Gita is surrendering to Krishna. The most comprehensive instruction is surrendering unto Krishna. Okay. So this is what Krishna is going to highlight very clearly in the this chapter, because such a most important section this is. So coming to first section of this chapter. So this chapter starts with a question by Arjuna. Arjuna uvacha Sanyasasya mahabaho tattvam ichchami veditum tyagasya cha hrishikesha utak kesha nishodhana. So Arjuna is asking here, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyasa. Okay. So Arjuna wants to know two things very clearly. What is tyaga and what is sannyasa? So Krishna tells, giving up activities that are based on material desire is what great learned man call the renounced order of life. That means you see sannyasis, for example, you take sannyasis. They will not be doing working in TCS, Infosys. They will not be doing any night shifts. They will not be doing any activity, for money making businesses. Okay. So giving up activities altogether based on material desires. So is what great learned man called renounced order of life. You give up all those activities. So that life is the sannyasa. Okay. And what is the tyaga? Giving up the results of the activities. What is wise man called renunciation. So giving up the result of work. That means a person is working. He is working in Infosys, TCS, Microsoft, Google or whatever. He is working. And then that result he is giving up to the Lord. if he gives some amount of his earning as a donation to Lord for the purpose of the Lord, then that is called Tyaga. Okay. So any other activities like that, if they do the activity, but the result will be given to Lord, that is called Tyaga. Okay. Any material activity, all kinds of material activity they are given up, then that is called Sannyasa. That is the order of life. Okay. Basically in the literatures, in the Vedic literature and Vedas, there are 4 orders of life are there. One is Brahmacharya, Gruhastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. Brahmacharya means it is from age 0 to 25. If you take the life of 100 years, per se 100 years, okay, first quarter 0 to 25 is meant for Brahmacharya, and 25 to 50 is Gruhastha, and then 50 to 75 is Vanaprastha, and 75 to 100 is Sannyasa. Generally, this is the way. And there is one more way also. One can go systematically from Brahmacharya, Gruhastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, or one can also go from Brahmacharya to Sannyasa also. This is called Nivrutti Marga. So this is called Pravrutti Marga. So what is Brahmacharya? Brahmacharya means previously the system is that at the age 5 to 6, the children used to go to Gurukulas. Irrespective of any caste, they used to go to Gurukula and then learn dharma from the Guru, okay, and then Jnana. So they used to attain Jnana and then values also, knowledge and values, both they used to learn from the Guru up to age of 25. Nowadays the education system is one will generally learn only knowledge, that also material knowledge, okay, not spiritual knowledge. And there are no values at all in the education up to LKG to PhD. Okay. So, but previous the system is that it's not like that. They used to learn the knowledge, both material and spiritual knowledge, and then values also up to 25. Then at the age of 25, they used to take up Gruhastha life and lead their life as per the dharma which he learned in the Brahmacharya life. He was sufficiently trained and then learned the dharma principles. So as per those principles, he used to lead Gruhastha life. And then at the age of 50, they used to give Gruhastha life. They'll enter the Vanaprastha life. That means they hand over the responsibilities of family to the children. Children are sufficiently grown, and to them they'll hand over at the age of 50, and they go to forest with the wife only, Vanaprastha life. They used to practice detachment from the family. This is called Vanaprastha life. This is like training for Sannyasa. Sannyasa means totally giving up everything. Even wife also will not be there. Okay. For that it's like a practice. So they used to go to forest, go to different Tirtha Kshetras, visit all the places. They used to live like that up to age of 75. Then at the age of 75, they'll take up Sannyasa. Totally saffron, and then totally renounced order of life, that is. So, or at the age of 25, at the Brahmacharya, he will be having option whether he can go to Gruhastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, or he can go directly from Brahmacharya to Sannyasa also. So that depends on Brahmachari's desire. That used to be the principle in previous ages. You will see great acharyas who have taken both the paths also, like Ramanujacharya. He has taken up this path, Brahmacharya, Gruhastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. If you see Sankaracharya or Madhvacharya, directly from Brahmacharya to Sannyasa. So both the ways are there. So that's how they used to practice. So Sannyasa means giving up all kinds of material activities. So when this topic comes, there are some scholars that tell differently. There are some activities even sannyas also have to follow. They should never give up. Like Yajna Dana Tapa. In the previous chapter we discussed this one. So some spiritualist says that even this also should be given up by sannyasi. But Krishna very clearly tells his opinion. He says that acts of sacrifice, charity and penance, Yajna Dana Tapa, are not to be given up but should be performed. Indeed, this yajna, dana, tapa will purify even the great souls. Okay, so these three activities should never be given up even by sannyasis. Okay, they should be performed. Yajna they have to perform. Our chanting of holy name is also yajna. Yajnanam japa yajñosmi, Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita. That's why one has to chant until the end of life. Even if you go back to Godhead also, there also chanting will be there, it seems. Okay. In Vaikuntha also devotees will be chanting the holy name of the Lord. That's the power of this chanting. That should never be given up. Dana, giving charity, whatever they get, sannyas will give to others. And tapa, practicing austerity, they should never be given up by the sannyasis. So all these activities should be performed without any expectation of result. This is sannyasi has to perform. Without any result, expectation of result, one has to perform. As a matter of duty, one has to perform these things. Then Krishna classifies these prescribed duties also in three modes of material nature. So prescribed duty means there is difference between duty and prescribed duty. Duty means people take that on their own, or any other normal people will give that. That's called duty. Just like doing job is a duty. Okay. But prescribed duty means that which is given by spiritual master. The spiritual master understands what is good for him, what he is capable, what are his qualities. So by considering all these factors, he gives a divine duty. So that's called prescribed duty. Okay. So the difference between duty and prescribed duty. If one performs prescribed duty alone, he can go back to Godhead. That kind of duty is God, but not normal duties are not like that. They are just any other normal material activities only. So Krishna classifies these prescribed duties also as per three modes of material nature. If those duties are performed without any expectation of result, without any hate or attachment, no doubts of work, without material association, so that kind of duties are in mode of goodness. Then duties in the mode of passion, if they consider these prescribed duties are very difficult to perform, and then they're creating so much discomfort, so that kind of duty comes under Rajoguna duty. If one considers this duty as some kind of illusion, with ignorance, if he gives up this kind of activities, then that prescribed duty comes under tamoguna duties. Okay. So if one who is not renounced, whatever action he does, there will be good reactions may be there, or bad will be there, or mixed also will be there. Okay. All these reactions will accrue in this life or in the next life. Okay. So result will be there. So one who is not renounced, he will be facing reactions for the kind of activities what he is doing. Then the section 2, this from verses 13 to 18. So in this, Krishna tells a very important concept about how to perform an activity successfully. If you want to attain success in any activity, what are the ingredients? What will be there, how to perform, Krishna explains here. If you understand these principles, then you will be successful for sure in your activity. So what is that? Panchetani Mahabaho Karna Nibodhame. Krishna says there are 5 factors of any action. What are those? Adhishtanam Tadakarta, Karnamcha Pratagvidam, Vividaischa Pratak Chesta, Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. The first one is Adhishtanam, the place of action. Where you perform that action is one important factor in attaining success of that action. Then second is performer, who is the person who is performing that activity, it depends on him. Then third is various senses, or we have 5 senses are there. So these senses also plays an important role in performing that activity. Then fourth, different kinds of endeavors. You may do different kinds of endeavors to complete that activity. So these also plays an important role. Then finally, super soul. Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. Fifth one is super soul. So all these 5 factors constitutes an action. If you want to be successful in doing any activity, you should learn how to, how to perform, how to take care of these 5 factors. For example, if you want to start a business, okay, if you want to start some, restaurant business, for example, then here Krishna is telling, Adhisthanam, place of action. You should select a right place. If you keep that restaurant somewhere inside some village, a town or city, people doesn't know, they will not come. You should keep at the right place near to main road. Facing the main road is a successful place. Okay, for example, I am telling. Then performer and the person, the businessman is very important. And then third thing is senses. He should know, especially a restaurant business person, that owner, should have good sense of taste. He should clearly taste and then determine whether it is good or bad, what to add, what not to add. So this sense is, taste of senses plays a very important role. Similarly, eyes, ears, nose, tongue also. Okay, so the senses plays a role, and then different kinds of endeavors. He should learn how to market or social media or whatever, how to put the boards and all these things to attract people. Different endeavors he has to do. Then fifth one is super soul. Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. Super soul. Super soul means God. So the mercy of God also is very important factor in achieving success of any action. So Krishna says that if you have this fifth factor, Daivam, if it is there with you, then all other factors fall in line and you will attain success. On the other hand, if you don't have Daivam factor, you have place of action and the performer and senses and then endeavors, you are doing very wonderfully. But if you don't have blessings of the Lord, then that activity fails. So that's why one need to be careful in taking care of especially the factor of Daivam, that means blessings of super soul, in achieving success of any activity. Any right or wrong activity is caused by these 3 factors. Okay. So one who thinks himself that I am the doer, see, performer is the only one. You are that one factor, that's it. Performer means yourself. You are the only one factor. Remaining 4 factors are there. Total 5. Okay. But if you think I am the doer of this activity, because of me, success has come. If you think like that, then he is not very intelligent. He is not seeing the things as they are. He is not seeing the reality. Okay, he is a foolish person. So that's why we need to consider always the factor of Daivam in attaining success. Always we should be humble toward the Supreme Lord. Okay, so one who understood like that, one who is not motivated by false ego, one whose intelligence is not entangled. So even though he kills in this world, he doesn't kill, nor is he bound by his actions. Okay. So one who understands this principle correctly, he doesn't have any reactions of his work. That's what Krishna is telling. He may fight, but he doesn't get a reaction, a sin of killing anything. Okay. So that's how one should attain perfection, in doing the activity by understanding these principles. Then coming to the third section of this 18th chapter, this is from verses 19 to 40. Here again, like previous chapters, Krishna clarifies various aspects in 3 modes of material nature. For example, knowledge, action, and a performer of that action, and then understanding, determination, happiness. Okay. So that knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities. Okay. So that knowledge should be understood in the mode of goodness. That means if you are thinking, if you attain some knowledge, by that knowledge you will be able to see that all the living entities are equal. They are the souls. You are not seeing the body. Some people you are see as of India, some people are America, some are human beings, some are animals, okay, some are plants, all these things, differentiations we see generally, okay. But if you attain knowledge and you can able to see all are the souls, the part and parcel of Supreme Lord, then that knowledge is a mode of Sattva-guna. And that knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is different types of living entities. Okay, if you are saying different living entities, so whatever knowledge you attained, that knowledge in the mode of Rajoguna. And then that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as all in all, without knowledge of the truth. Okay, so that kind of knowledge is in Tamoguna mode of darkness. Okay, so like that Krishna classifies again action, performer, and then understand, determination, and finally Krishna tells about happiness. This is very important for all of us to know. So that which is beginning may be just like poison, but at the end it turns just like a nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization. So this kind of happiness is Sattva-guna, happiness in the mode of goodness. For suppose if you are practicing spirituality, you may have to practice little waking up early in the morning. You may have to practice reading Bhagavad Gita. You may have to practice sitting in meditations. So these things are generally difficult in the beginning. Why difficult? Because we are accustomed to one kind of lifestyle. What is that lifestyle? Waking up 10 o'clock in the morning and then don't have habit of reading books, just be on mobiles. Okay, and then we never sit silently at one place, always going here and there, no stability in the mind. So because of past conditioning, initially we will feel little difficult to perform these activities. But if you practice, very quickly one can attain perfection, at least can able to follow nicely. It is possible like that. But initially they look like little difficult. That's what Krishna is telling, maybe just like poison, but at the end they turn just like nectar, they turn amrita. By practicing meditations, mantra meditation, by understanding the knowledge, jnana, you will be happy in the life. Yeah, if you practice seriously, you can attain perfection also. Okay, that turns out to be amrita finally. So this kind of happiness, that this happiness initially it is not, it is less, but and it will be high. Okay, so this kind of happiness is actually Sattva-guna happiness. But there is one more kind of happiness which is in Rajoguna. So this happiness initially it is like a nectar, amrita, but at the end it is like poison. For example, if you go to films, it will be nice, exams are there, but if you see films in that exams time, tomorrow exam is there, some favorite hero film was released, and then you go to film. It will be very nice initially, but after some time you will see bad result of that, okay, which will be very distressing, and parents also scold us. So this kind of happiness, that which is initially is like nectar, but at the end it is like a poison. So this is Rajoguna happiness. If you see relation with people, and then any kind of sense gratification, drinking, all this initially it will be very nice, but at the end it will result in many problems like health problems, all these kind of things, okay, waste of money. So this kind of happiness, you should understand that is in the mode of passion, Rajoguna. Then there is one more kind of happiness, okay, this happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end. That which arises from sleep, laziness and illusion is set to mode of ignorance. Okay, it is fully, there is no question of connection to God in this. From starting to ending, it is just delusion, sleep, laziness. So this kind of happiness comes under tamoguna happiness. Okay, so you can see the power of three modes of material nature. Everything is connected to three modes of material nature like this. Either here or the devatas, higher planet systems, bhuloka, everywhere these modes are functioning very wonderfully. Okay, we should understand these principles and lead our life carefully. Then we will be successful. So this is the end of the first part of 18th chapter. 18th chapter is very big. It is 72 slokas will be there. It is divided into 2 parts. So we complete the first part, and second part we will complete tomorrow. Hare Krishna.